This is the Inferno Podcast. It's the official podcast of UAB Athletics. Blazer fans, this is the place every week for an inside look into UAB Athletics. This episode is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Welcome into the Inferno Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Griffin, for Season 3, Episode 6 here. We're going to talk a little baseball. Spring sports is here. It's gotten warmer, and all the things are in action. We got a lot to talk about here. Of course, we got the rundown coming at you, brought to you by Legacy Credit Union, the official credit union of UAB Athletics. Baseball is here. Casey Dunn will be here going into his 5th year with the baseball program. Also, Chase Ingram bringing one of his big right-handers on with it, and we'll talk a little baseball with those guys. But also track and field, they had a great meet to begin the year. 8 personal bests at the UAB Invite. Men's basketball finally won a home game. How about that? They're 6-5 now in the league. They get a little week off here till a game coming up this weekend. But Andy Kennedy obviously wanting to be in that top 4 there to get that double bye in the tournament, which of course is here in Birmingham. UAB softball starts the Southern Miss tournament, and they went 2-3, but the season has begun there. And again, baseball starting this weekend against number 13 Florida. Yep, you start with the top 20 on the road, but Casey Dunn's ready to put his team on the field and see what he has. So, got all that to talk about here on the Inferno Podcast. Remember, you can follow us on YouTube and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you like to follow and watch the Inferno Podcast. You got all the listings there. So we'll take a break, come back with more here on the Inferno Podcast. Stay with us.
The if in life, it's a world of possibilities. If you go for a night out with friends, if you can keep an eye on your money along the way, if you know you have overdraft protection with no fee transfers from savings, when you get a low balance alert, it's easier to say yes to fun. If that sounds good, try Regions Life Banking.
Stay ready for the if in life. Regions Bank, embrace the if in life.
Welcome back to the Inferno Podcast. Scott Griffin here. Time for Coach's Corner, brought to you by Viva Health and Pepsi. And a baseball coach, Casey Dunn, who's a Birmingham native, been here for many years, as you know, and in your, 5th year coming up?
5th year, yeah.
At UAB. So good to have you here, and it's baseball season.
It's on us, man. It's a little warm this week, though, to be baseball season. The last couple of weeks, it's been more of the start of the season, miserably cold, windy.
Crazy cold.
Yeah, so, I'm kind of excited about some 70-degree weather. It's going to be awesome.
And it looks like it's going to stay around a couple of weeks.
Let's hope so. Cross our fingers, right?
So how can you get work in when it's that cold? I know you can go indoors and hit.
We've been lucky. I mean, I think there's been 3 days that we've kind of adjusted our plan due to the weather. But, we've been outside. The reality is you're going to play in it early in the year at some point. So, we've been outside to some extent pretty much every day. Just some days maybe, 45 minutes, an hour, and do the rest indoors or things of that nature. But it's been okay. I would tell you the frustrating thing is our weekends haven't been the greatest, which is when we're trying to scrimmage and like our guys that'll throw the first half of the weekend, they're throwing Thursday, Fridays, and for whatever reason, Thursday seems to have been the coldest day every week. So our poor pitchers that are slated to throw on Thursdays, man, they'll be fired up in Gainesville when it's 75 and sunny down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you worry about injury?
Absolutely,
when
man.
For pitchers, though?
Yeah, absolutely. And, and we've adjusted. We're not going to throw our guys under 40 degrees this time of year outside. That's kind of my cutoff. And, I wish I could make that cutoff a little higher, but with the lack of facilities and just the weather we have, you kind of got to. But anything under 40, usually we're trying to get it to an indoor to let our guys throw. And just because you do worry, man. You know, the weather's a factor. If you look at injuries, whether it's college baseball, professional baseball, you know, I think over 80% of arm injuries happen within the first month to 2 months of a season.
Wow.
You know, and again, it's because of the weather. You know, whether it's the pro stuff where, you know, they're starting up north or down here in the south, you know, with us starting in, you know, January, February, like, you know.
Is it too quick a ramp up? Not
I
enough base?
think, you know,
or?
part of it, definitely in the college world, the ramp up is short. You know, we give our guys stuff to do at home, but let's be honest, man, they're college kids that are home for Christmas. I'd love to tell you all our guys are following it to a T,
Right.
but they're not. Or, you know, they're throwing a bullpen to their dad sitting on a bucket in the backyard. Well, you're not going to throw with the same intent.
Right,
At that
right.
point. So, and, you know, most of our kids are hunters, you know, it's where we're at, man. Those kids are in the woods a bunch over the winter with their families. So, you know, I think the ramp up in college is definitely shorter. They gave us a little more. We literally gained a week this year, and I think that's been a push nationally for a longer ramp up period. And hopefully at some point we'll convince people that pushing the season back is the way to go. So we'll see what happens with that. But, you know, even on the pro side with spring trainings, you know, it's the amount of injuries the past few years during the spring
crazy.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because guys just aren't ready, or guys are training in the off season with more of a velocity intent, and it's putting more stress on the arm and those kind of things. Because I'm a believer, you know, you don't get hurt the day it blows. You get hurt leading up until that
Absolutely.
point. So it's a challenge. You know, we're dealing with several injuries this year. You know, we lost 2 guys in the fall for the season, and you know, we've got a couple guys that are kind of dinged up right now that won't be available opening weekend, and you know, it's frustrating. You question what you do, but
Because you can't call the minor leagues.
Yeah, you know, that's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Well, you know, now again, I think we can now. We can. You know, I think I can go get the guy from the Barons and make him eligible all of a sudden. Now,
Right.
evidently, you know,
Yeah.
the way basketball
nice.
is going, yeah, that's what I told our guys. Instead of recruiting the portal, man, we'll start seeing who's
get
about
some
to
pros.
Yeah, see who's about to get released from the Barons. Man, you got a 7 ERA, you're going to get cut. Why don't you come throw for us next year? You know, that 7 in AA will probably work out okay at our level.
That's
but
right.
yeah, the way this world's going, I assume it won't be long before that
Yeah.
happens. So maybe we can just be on the cutting edge. There's got to be some attorney out there that's willing to take on a baseball kid, right? So we'll see. But no, it's you know, it's an interesting deal trying to track that. But talking to other coaches, I mean, talked to another coach in our league the other day. They're down 4 guys. Wow. So it's not, you know, it's not just us dealing with this. It's a lot of people. So as we're trying to figure out what we can do better to prevent this,
Yeah.
I don't know how much it's what we're doing wrong versus just the nature of where we're at and the way guys are training before they get to college and those type things kind of all leading to this.
So indulge me in philosophy for a moment, and if the audience will as well, because I contend that in the days of Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, they threw with their entire body. They were compact. They kicked their leg. Now you see not much leg kicking. It's usually from a non-wind-up, right? And those things, is there anything to that besides
you know,
the infatuation with velocity?
Yeah, I think there's obviously more stress being put on the arm, you know, due to some of the quote modern mechanics.
Yeah.
And you know, when you get into today's world of the kinesiology and the way the body works, and you know, all of that with the kinetitracks that all the big league parks have, some colleges even have it now, to where you're really analyzing what the body does and what do the hardest throwers do. Well, you know, a lot of those guys do it naturally. Their bodies are built for that. And yet we're taking that data, we're taking that technology and trying to put it into the younger
To everybody,
athlete.
right? Yeah.
And, you know, there's a big difference in what a 25-year-old pro can do versus a 16-year-old high school kid,
Right.
but yet we're trying to get them to do the same things. So I do think that's a big part of what's leading to it. You know, we're measuring force into the ground with force plates. I mean, things that, you know, have never existed, and there's benefit to it. And, you know, and we're trying to embrace a lot of the technology within our program. But you also have to measure, you know, there is a difference in the 19-year-old freshman to the 23-year-old college senior to the 26-year-old pro. You know, there's a difference in which their bodies can handle, and that's the one thing in the coaching, instructor, academy world. You know, there's a lot of people making good money off trying to get these guys to throw harder. And, you know, it's amazing how many videos, especially during the summer when portal season heats up, you've got guys, you know, all these Twitter videos of guys throwing 97 miles an hour, and you're like, man, why does this guy not have a school? Like, why does he not have a job? And then you check stats, and, well, he's walked 2 guys every inning he's pitched in his college career. Like, there's a reason nobody wants him.
Right.
But the focus is all on the velocity, and that's where guys are training to such an extent now. So, it's leading to more injuries. Obviously, I saw a study at one point a couple years ago where, when guys start throwing 93 miles an hour harder, the risk of injury shoots way up. There's a lot of data out there now that kind of gives you some frame of reference, but at the same time, every kid wants to throw harder. Every coach wants the guy to have better stuff.
Of course.
And, the whole stuff plus metric that's out there now, and we're teaching to overthrow change-ups, the power change and different things, and it's like, just everything is max effort versus the concept of feel and pitchability and that kind of stuff of years of old, aren't what they are today.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I still see, a Rich Hill in the Major League Baseball who can't break 85, still get guys out.
But then, like people always use in our era, the Greg Maddux of the world.
Yeah.
Greg Maddux was a power arm early in his minor league career.
Through 92, 93.
Yeah,
right?
and, and was up higher than that early in the minor leagues, and then realized, all right, man, this isn't working. And transition. A lot of those guys with lesser velocity in the big leagues, Rich Hill, they did throw harder, and then usually injury or something happens, and
age,
they kind of recreate themselves. So it's, but again, I think there's still room for the pitchability guy. There's still those guys that have success, and you see it a lot at the college level, especially at the mid-major level, of guys that find a way to get people out.
Before we get into your team, so what do you look for in a pitcher now? With all that and your concerns, how do you recruit a pitcher?
In today's world, affordability, that's got to factor into it. Who can we afford?
Yeah.
But, I think in our world right now, command is such a vital, statistic. It's an easy measurable with, does a guy throw strikes or not? Because if you can't throw a strike, the rest is irrelevant. And,
and by the way, old catcher.
Yeah.
So you're even more in tune to that.
Yeah, and then you talk to coaches at power programs that have all these big arms, these big prospects, but they can't count them. Talked to a guy the other day. He's got 2 guys on staff that throw 100 miles an hour. He's like, man, I can't pitch them, because they're not going to throw a strike. It doesn't matter. And hitters are so used to seeing that velocity now that even if it's upper 90s, 100, if they know it's coming, they can get to it because they see it more. But I think command is a vital aspect. It's something that over the last couple of years we've tried to really focus on more than some other things. And in our world where we're not getting the finished product, the perfect kid, just do they have something that sets them aside? Is it a plus fastball? Is it, well, man, he doesn't throw that hard, but he's got a really good breaking ball? Does he have a really good change? Is there something that's kind of an outlier to what he does? And with TrackMan, with the metrics and all the data that's out there, even at these recruiting events, you can kind of look for things that may make that guy a little unique. And that's what we're searching for, is the guy that's an outlier in some category that, maybe we can take him and put him in a role that can make us successful and him successful.
Casey Dunn, our guest, head baseball coach, UAB, going into his 5th year. Let's talk about the team. You had a really good year, first winning year in 7 or 8 years. When you first got here, dipped down, guys left or graduated, whatever, and then last couple of years, consistently right at that 500 mark. What are you looking for now as you get ready for year 5? Because now you got your guys in and those kind of things.
It's a challenge. Last year was a year that we really thought was going to be the year we kind of got over the hump, and I think we were 13-3 to start the season, swept Auburn, and then literally 2 injuries happened and sidetracked the whole season. It was crazy. I've never been part of a group where literally losing 2 guys had that big of an impact on a season, but it did for us. Our depth just wasn't there. We couldn't make up for it, and really turned what was a really promising season into a disappointing year. And then at the conclusion of the year, we lost 1 to the portal, but we lost 2 underclassmen to the draft. We lost our 2 best signees to the draft. So it went from a year where we thought this would be a year we could build, coming off what should have been a good year last year that was not, and then we added a couple good pieces that, again, ended up being drafted and got the money they wanted, and both of them, I can't really blame them for taking it. We had 3 juniors that we were concerned about losing, and kind of got through the portal deadline, holding on to 2 of the 3. And, man, I was fired up that we kept those guys. And, then the Braves and Nationals came calling a couple weeks later, and we couldn't hold on to them anymore. But,
wow.
Which is good. It's bad for this year's team, but it's good for the program long term. Last year we had 3 kids drafted out of our program that came here out of high school and stuck with it. 2 of them were 3-year guys. One was a 4-year guy. We had 5 kids in the SEC last year that could have been still in our program. Not a one of those 5 was taken. So from a long-term standpoint, we can sell them like, this is a good development place for you. It's a place you can reach your dreams. You go chase it somewhere else, it's not a guarantee it happens. And those guys that left us were 0 for 5 being drafted. We had 3 guys that stuck it out that were. So long-term, I think that's a good thing. I wish I had those guys in the program this year. I do wish I had 2 of them as seniors this year. It'd feel a little different, going into Gainesville with a, draft pick catcher and a draft pick Friday night guy. But instead we're going to go in with a transfer and a freshman. But, it is a situation this year looking at it. I really like the youth of our team. We don't have a ton of experience coming back, which is scary in a world of older teams. We play in a league where teams in our conference have committed to baseball and put money behind it, with the whole rev share world. And, it's going to be an older league. Teams in our league were able to go out and buy some pieces out of the portal. And, we're going to count on some young guys. And, and that's scary. There's some optimism in some sense because I do like our young guys. And if they can adjust quickly, I believe they have some talent and some ability that can compete. But we're going to really need those few older pieces to be good for us. And, we don't have a lot of experience, but the few guys we have, we need them to play like 4th-year seniors.
Yeah. So there's another difference, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but non-conference when you're at a UAB or a Sanford or a Jack State, first of all, you're playing each other. You're playing Jack State, Sanford, Alabama, Auburn. So I guess what I want people to understand, if they haven't thought about it, is in basketball or football non-conference, you might have some wins over there you can schedule. That's not the reality.
No,
so
man,
you've got this non-conference that gets you better.
Yeah.
Then you've got conference, which is what you're it's a different dynamic.
Oh, man, I wish we could find some of those wins, man. I look at basketball playing some non-D1s and some things, that people do, and I'm like, whew, man, I don't know if we could find those. But, but no, when you look at where we are in the states, you got Jacksonville State that I think's picked 2nd or 3rd in their league. Troy will be picked in the top couple of their league. Sanford's picked 1st in their league. Alabama and Auburn obviously are good programs. We go up to UNA, who's a transitioning team. But, last year made a big jump, in terms of kind of being able to compete at the Division I level, and was a much different team than the one we played when they first transitioned. And, even Alabama State, people look at it and say, oh, man, that's the SWAC. Well, they're the best team in the SWAC. They're really good. That's a tough Tuesday night game, man. Those guys are good. So, we're very fortunate to be where we are in Birmingham in the state of Alabama, where those midweek games we don't have to travel for. Our longest midweek trip maybe 2 hours. We're lucky, man. We really are lucky with that. But where we're not lucky is all those teams I just mentioned are pretty good and they can beat you.
Yeah.
And
you're recruiting the same guys.
And you're chasing the same people. And South Alabama, didn't mention them. We meet them in Montgomery this year to play a midweek. But that's been one of the things that's interesting. You talk about just the baseball in this state. When you talk to like at Alabama and Auburn with their coaching transitions through the years. One of the consistents with all the people that have been hired outside of this area at those places, they're shocked about the difficulty of the Tuesday night game.
It's crazy.
And it doesn't matter if it's Sanford, UAB, Jack State, Troy, South, Alabama State, whoever it is, like you can get beat, even at an Alabama
Easy.
or Auburn. And that's the challenge for us. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so I say yes too many times when people ask to play. We're opening up at Gainesville this year.
Number 13, Florida.
Yeah, we'll see a first-rounder on Friday and Saturday probably. That's great for us. So way to build some confidence, Coach Dunn. But at the same time, man, like I'm a competitor. I tell our guys, you should want to play against the best people.
Sure.
As a coach, I like to play against good people. I want that challenge. So, we're going to put our guys in some tough environments early, and if we get through it and we survive it, it should prepare us better for conference play.
you have gotten local, which is great, or when I say local, I mean the state and South, really great baseball players here. So finally, tell me about your team overall. Do you have some speed? Do you like your athleticism? Is your lineup, your hitting there? I know it's always going to be more, but just tell me what you see.
Yeah, coming at this point, man, it's a bad day for this conversation because I'm struggling to think of the positives here. But no, like I said, I think, we've got a chance to be competitive offensively. I think we've got a chance to have 3 or 4 guys in the order that are going to be good. We've got, talking about local guys, John Paul Head's a Vestavia kid, Landon Beavers from Phoenix City. Both of them won state championships respectively. They're both really good. They're both MVPs of their summer leagues. And, they dealt with some position change last year for us, trying to figure out, where they can play defensively to be successful.
To get their bat.
And by the end of the year, when they got comfortable and I was comfortable playing them, they did all right. And, like I said, rolled into the summer, had huge summers. And, I think those 2 guys offensively have got to carry us. They're both capable of being all-conference type players. And then, Wesley Helms had a solid year for us as a junior last year. Like, we need him to be a really good senior. Alex Cheeseman hasn't had great statistical years, but he's played a good bit over the last 2 years. We need him as a junior, who's our best athlete. We need him to have a good year. And then, we'll count on 2 freshmen, a couple transfers, and, we'll see how quickly they adjust because regardless of where you come from, the American Conference, people we play non-conference, like it's really good baseball. Even some guys who have succeeded at maybe some junior colleges or some lower Division I's, like this is a tough adjustment. So, we're going to rely on them on the mound. We'll have 2 fourth-year seniors that'll be weekend starters to open in the season. Like, they're probably not the most talented of some of the guys we have, but they've been through it.
They've pitched.
Yeah, they've pitched, and they've pitched in big games. Braxton Shelton, we laugh because he's pitched a lot of midweeks for us through the years. Like, he probably has more SEC starts than half the guys in the SEC now because I feel like every Tuesday he threw against Mississippi State or Auburn or Alabama somebody. It's like, man, that guy should be battle-tested at this point. But, we're going to go with some experienced guys early to hopefully allow some of the younger guys in our program. And we got, our 2 best, quote, stuff guys, biggest arms are 2 freshmen that I think have really high ceilings. But, it's when are they going to be ready? When can we run them out there and expect them to, to really do it? Carter Samuelson's, got some of the best stuff we have. He's from Springville. He's used to pitching against St. Clair County, and we open up against the Gators in Florida. A little different. But again, he's a tough little country kid that, I think is going to be really good for us one day. But, how do we use him? How do we develop him so that he is able to pitch meaningful innings come week 6 of the season when conference play begins?
So this weekend, Florida.
This weekend, man, it's on us.
Get ready. Wow. So the first home game for people who want to come by?
First home game would be the following Thursday against Cincinnati, who's a regional quality club. A little different. We're playing a 4-game series Thursday through Sunday, and it'll be good, man. Like I said, I want to play good people. This is year, I think, 3 of the coaching staff up there. Jordan's done a great job taking a program that really struggled to an at-large type program. So it'll be fun to play against good people, get a good challenge that weekend as well.
Good luck this year. I'm sure we'll visit again as we go.
Yeah, man, Scott, we enjoyed it, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you. Casey Dunn, head baseball coach for UAB. We'll take a break. You're watching the Inferno Pod. Welcome back to the Inferno Podcast. Scott Griffin here. Time for the Blazer of the Week, brought to you by Blazers Mobile. And we got a big old right-handed strapping pitcher here, Chase Ingram, hanging out with us. Chase, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us here. And let's start with the most obvious question. You're a native Californian.
Yes,
you
sir.
choose to go to IMG Academy
Yep.
all the way across the country. Tell us about that decision on why you did that before you picked college.
Mainly, I think God just led me there through COVID. And I think that was kind of a blessing in disguise with California high school sports being shut down. I had aspirations of playing college Division I baseball, and I knew if I wasn't playing baseball with the season shut down, I had to go somewhere where I could. And my family had looked into IMG Academy, and we flew out there over Christmas break right in between high school semesters and did a visit, did a little workout, and they liked me. We liked the situation there, and the rest was history.
That's really good. Now, the other thing that's different about you is Granddad played in the NFL.
Yep.
Dad, brother played football. You're obviously, what, 6'4", 6'5"? What is your
About
size?
6'4", yeah. Built like a
6'4"?
football player.
Yeah, you're. That's what I was going to go with. So you choose baseball. What's the thinking on that?
Yeah, I'm the only one in the family that veered off from the football route. But
Is everybody large in the family?
Yeah, just about.
Okay.
I caught a little slack, because it runs in the DNA playing football. But for some reason, I was always just drawn more towards baseball, and I had more of a passion. And as I got older, my dad, he kind of was a little more on board with it because just less injuries, not banging my head into someone else for the whole day. But, yeah, they've started to love it, and my family's also learned to kind of develop a love for baseball as I've kept playing, and it's been a really kind of fun transition for the family.
I assume you did play high school
I did,
football, though,
yeah.
and all that stuff.
I sure did.
Were you pretty good?
I was decent. Just being sizable, I
Yeah.
was able to compete and be
Yeah.
more physical and aggressive. But, by the end of practice, I'm kind of just tired of banging my head into somebody and feeling sore all day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good change of pace.
Now the only thing sore is the shoulder. All right, so tell us about finding the talent of baseball and what grabs you about it.
Yeah, so I don't really know exactly when, but I was always pretty good at baseball. Like I said earlier, just being bigger, I was always stronger. I could hit the ball further and throw it harder. But I think just being surrounded by good teammates growing up. I had a lot of friends that also played, and we would go out in the yard, play wiffle ball, and it just kind of grew that passion for it. And then the more that I loved it, the more I wanted to be better at it and just be great. And my dad was great with coaching me, giving me all the resources I needed to be good. And I just started loving it more and more, and that's when I knew I wanted to go play baseball.
Yeah. And you hit and pitched in high school.
I did. Yeah.
And then now purely pitching, right?
Yeah, I actually, my freshman and sophomore year here at UAB, I was still two-wang. But it's just so hard to do it and keep up with it. I decided, and my coach decided, that it was going to be in our best interest for myself and the team to focus on pitching and really try and be great at one of them as opposed to trying to manage being good at both.
Right. It's always a great decision to do that and handle it that way. But at IMG, you did both as well, right?
I did.
And,
yes, sir.
It's hard to give up though when you
Man,
play
it's hard.
base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
It's hard shagging BP instead of hitting BP now. I reminisce on the days I got to hit BP and hit off the machine, but it's fun. It's still fun.
you don't ever step in there and
when
me
we
take
get
some
hitter
hacks.
BP.
Yeah.
If we're lucky enough to get like some pitcher BP, if we have
Yeah.
a good week of practice, then I'll get in there and get some hacks up. But it definitely shows the rust when I get back in there.
All right, so what about UAB grabs you?
UAB.
Because
once
you have
again-
not transferred in. That's kind of a
Yeah.
rare
It's
thing.
rare this
You've
day.
actually been here the
Yeah.
entire time.
This day and age, it's rare. But the biggest thing was coaching staff for me. Coach Casey, he really just was a very personable coach. Every time that I got on the phone with him, it felt like I was talking to a buddy, not talking to a coach. And it was very inviting. While I was at IMG, one of my coaches there actually played for Coach Dunn at Samford and coached with him. So that was our connection. He reached out to Casey and said, "Hey, I've got a guy you need to look at." And it all worked out that I was going actually to Hoover for the Perfect Game High School Showdown.
Yep.
They were able to come watch me play. I was able to come see campus. We got to meet each other, shake hands, and From there on out, we built a great relationship, and I'd known that I could see myself in Birmingham at UAB, and I thought it was a great fit.
I'm sure it's worked out for you because, I mean,
It sure has.
It's rare that you stay at a place. So what has grabbed you about staying here baseball-wise, but then also education-wise and community-wise?
So baseball-wise, the culture on the team, it's like you've said, it's tough with it changing, people transferring in, transferring out. But I think that the guys that have stayed here for all 4 years, like myself, we've really done a good job of trying to build a culture of what it's like to be a Blazer baseball player. And I feel like we've been able to get people on board to, join in and really kind of have the same goals and the same mindset. So it's easy showing up to work every day when everybody's got the same goals and they're striving for the same things. But from a school standpoint, I'm a finance major. The Collat School of Business has been great. They've been very helpful with managing, being a Division I athlete, also getting your schooling in, being able to get tutoring help if you need help. But really the work-life balance of being an athlete, a student, and just living in Birmingham has been extremely easy here. And I think it's been a great fit.
That's fantastic. It's great to have somebody that has been here this long because, again, as we said, it's kind of rare. Do you want to be a financial analyst or what's the – or
Ideally,
not unsure yet?
Somewhere in the field of real estate.
Okay.
My family has dabbled with that back home on the West Coast. So I would sit in meetings with my dad and with my grandpa and get to kind of listen to that. So it gave me a bit of a passion for that, and just knowing that, everyone's always going to need a house, someone's going to need a place to run a business, so there will always be a market for real estate. And I think that's something that I could see myself getting into once I'm done with baseball.
Chase Ingram, our guest here, Blazer of the Week, brought to you again by Blazer Mobile. Now, you had a kind of a cool moment. You recorded, I think I'm correct, the 15,000th strikeout in UAB history. Did you even know beforehand, or?
No, I had no idea. I actually just was going on about the week, and then our SID, Andy, shout out to him, he pulled me aside at practice one day, and he told me, hey, do you know what you accomplished? And I said, no, I was just kind of trying to scratch my head thinking about what I could have done. And then once he told me, I thought that was a really cool experience and a cool opportunity that I got to do that.
Yeah, that was very cool. That happened on April 5th against Texas San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
Do you even recall it? It seems like you would have maybe tried to know it before, but you probably had to look back and go and add it up, I guess.
Yeah. I really hadn't known until he told me. But
can you remember the strikeout, or was it?
I don't think I could, to be honest with you. But I do remember playing against them,
great.
And I guess I had a good day on the mound. So glory to God for that.
Yeah. All right. So tell people about you as a pitcher. What do you do? Are you hard throwing? You mix it up? How many pitches you got?
Man, we
Your
all
scouting
wish.
report.
Yeah, we all wish we could be hard throwers, but for myself, I don't think that's the case. I think what makes me a good pitcher is I attack the zone. I throw a lot of strikes, and I throw 4 pitches for a strike. So I throw a fastball, a cutter, a curveball, and a splitter now. So my goal on the mound is to just go up there, attack the zone, and mix pitches very efficiently, not let the hitter get too comfortable or see the same pitch twice back to back. That's just my way of being able to keep that competitive edge.
All right, so tell me about the cutter, because that's kind of like a fastball. It can act like it coming out, but then it does some different things. How did you develop that?
Yeah, so I actually accidentally developed that in a bullpen.
Really?
Working with Coach Green. We were trying to work on tucking my thumb for the fastball, get a little bit more ride on it, and it came out as a nasty cutter, and it just moved about 6-7 inches to the left, kind of like a slider.
What was that?
Yeah, and we sat there and went, what was going on there? Try that again. And,
Catcher went, what?
Yeah, the catcher thought he got crossed up.
Yeah.
Coach thought I crossed him up. So we tried it again, and it was consistently just moving left. So then he said, well, I guess now you got a cutter. So from there on out, I started throwing it, working on it, trying to get more accurate with it. And it's kind of just like a firm, shorter slider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the exact story. I don't know if you know of Mariano Rivera, the greatest reliever ever, I think, for the Yankees. Kind of average, and he discovered a cutter.
Yeah.
You know that story? You're familiar
Yeah,
with it? Yeah,
I am.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I actually watched him pitch a lot with the cutter and try and figure out how he pitched with it, how he pitched to certain batters, setting up pitches. And, yeah, he's a great pitcher to watch.
Yeah, and of course he was throwing it 97% of the time too, which
Yeah.
is crazy. You know it's coming, still can't hit it.
Yep.
So do you have a best pitch, or you said 4 for strikes, which is really different for a college pitcher?
So I'd say my cutter has become kind of my bread and butter pitch just because I can throw it for a strike. I feel really comfortable with it. And like you were saying, I mean, even if they know it's coming, it's still moving. You know, they got to be able to try and get a barrel to it. So it's been a really efficient pitch for me.
So you've started some, and you're out of it. Are you still doing all kinds of roles, or mainly stopper now, or?
You know, I started kind of as a closer or reliever, then I worked into a starting role, and then we worked back into a kind of a stopper role. We're going to see this year. We'll see what we need as a pitching staff, and I'm just ready to go out there on the mound and help the team in whatever role best fits.
You don't have a preference?
Not really. I mean,
Really?
I just love getting out there on the mound and competing. In whatever role that ends up being, I'm happy with it.
That's interesting, because most guys say they put themselves in a box and say, I am a starter, or I am a closer, you
Yeah.
know. Of course, these days, there's so many. You got middle relievers, you got short, you got specialty. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Most people are going to get in there in the game if they can pitch, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is just being able to throw strikes. If you can throw it over the little white dish, then
Yeah,
you know,
that little plate thing.
yeah, you'll get innings. So as long as I can be able to do that and do it well, I think I'll find innings and I'll be able to help this team out.
Where'd that mentality come from? Because not many guys. There's, in my opinion, so many wasted pitches these days. Not many attack that strike zone and have that mentality.
My thought process behind it, never really having a heater that's going to blow your doors off, or
Right.
having a big sweeping slider that's going to get a lot of swings and misses. I've got to be really competitive around the zone. If I'm not throwing competitive pitches and learning to place them well right where I can miss barrels, then I'm not going to get that, blow your doors off, swing and miss, or
Right.
get a chase on a disgusting slider. I got to make hitters get themselves out by placing it where, they're not going to get the meat of their bat to it.
Yeah, I got you. So good stuff there with Chase Ingram. Now let's do a little thing we call the lightning round.
All
Okay,
right.
so we have a little fun with it. We still may talk a little baseball, but kind of find out more about you as a person and different things. First of all, you have been here 3 years. The cuisine in California is quite different
Oh, yeah.
than Birmingham. So tell me about the adjustment for eating and food, and then are you a Southern guy now?
I love both cuisines. I will say I'm not necessarily a avocado toast kind of guy, but
Not at 240, right?
yeah. No, I sure love this Southern food down here. I mean, barbecue, I'm eating it probably once a week now.
Really?
It's just been ingrained into my routine. And that's something you don't really get quality barbecue out on the West Coast. But one thing that I do love from the West Coast that I don't find as much down here is the seafood. It's very different.
In what way?
The Gulf seafood is really good. You'll get like your Gulf prawns, some Gulf
Yeah.
oysters. But out on the West Coast, really great like salmon, great
Salmon's fantastic.
king crab, Dungeness crab. It's just very different types of seafood. And I feel like to some extent back home, it just tastes fresher only because I live 30 minutes from the
Right.
water.
Right.
But being here, I also love the southern seafood, like, for example, gumbo or like a jambalaya, redfish. I'd never
Yeah,
tried
redfish,
and
fantastic,
rice
yeah.
until I got down here. But, yeah, really great different I guess, spins on food. But yeah, I'd say.
Because I can tell you like to eat.
Oh yeah, you don't get.
I don't know what it is about you, but
you don't get to 240 not eating. So, but yeah, I love food. I've loved the food down here in the South.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say I've kind of adopted more of a Southern diet.
All right. Do you have a go-to barbecue place you want to shout out?
Shout out Burning Tree Barbecue right
Burning
here in
Tree.
Birmingham.
Is it a truck or a?
It's a new like location.
Okay.
I think they popped up a couple years ago, but it's over in East Birmingham.
So what grabs you about it? What is it?
Awesome brisket tacos, phenomenal brisket tacos. We'll get done with practice some days, and one of the pitchers will send out in our little group chat, Burning Tree. Anyone want to go to Burning Tree? And you'll get like a handful of us that'll all thumbs up it, say we're going.
Yeah.
So we're there probably at least once a week.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anything else grab you about the region or Birmingham or?
I really love the region of Birmingham because it's very diverse. You've got like little pockets everywhere you go in Birmingham. Like I love going over the hill to Homewood and Mountain Brook, Vestavia, going over to the Summit. There's a lot of different things that can draw you to different areas of the city. But one thing that I really love compared to California is the pace of life. It's a lot slower, more laid back. People are more laid back. And people are just very pleasant. You know, the Southern hospitality that people
It's
talk
real,
about.
right?
It's
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
It's a real thing. And that's what my family always says too when they come out here to visit me. They just love the people. It's very pleasant out here. And they said, you know, even if they were to move, they could see themselves settling down somewhere like Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll stay here, or you're open to anywhere depending on what happens, or?
I'm really open to anywhere. Growing up in the West Coast, I feel like I've had my share of time in California, and I'm ready to get out. But going to IMG, being down in the Gulf Coast of Florida, I really loved it down there. But I could see myself being really anywhere in the Southeast.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Do you have a favorite sports movie? And is it a baseball movie?
Favorite sports movie? It's not a baseball movie, but I'm going to go with Longest Yard.
The newer one, obviously.
Yes.
With Adam Sandler.
Yep, that one's great.
What grab just because it's comedy and
Yeah,
lessons?
I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Another good one would be the Happy Gilmores.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
great. But yeah, I just think that they're funny.
Yeah.
You know, they're always a classic. You'll see them on TV, and you're not gonna change the channel from it.
Right. You're going to watch it whether you've seen it 20 times or
Yeah, exactly.
2 times.
Yep,
You've seen the third one, right?
I have. Yeah,
Thumbs up.
I thought it was all right. it was all right.
Not like the original, obviously.
Not the
but
original, but it was still good.
Still good stuff.
Yeah.
Close to your family? You got any special stories about them? And you know, you said you had that sports mentality with your dad and your brother.
Yeah, very close family, tight-knit family. I have an older brother, Clayton, and he always played football growing up.
Yeah.
So I was kind of his, I guess, like punching bag, his dummy, because he's even bigger than me. His playing weight was like 310 pounds, big 6'6" offensive lineman.
Wow.
So I used to go up against him as a freshman in high school when he was a senior in scout defense. And that partially could be part of the reason why I also chose baseball, just getting beat up at practice.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was like a competitive nature.
Yeah.
Everything that we did, you know, I wanted to beat him at it. He wanted to beat me, and my dad fueled it.
Very cool. Good stuff. And still close to your family, I'm sure. Still talk to them and keep in touch and
Yeah.
text and talk and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm very fortunate. They get to come out here and visit quite a bit. But, you know, I'm calling my mom every day,
Yeah.
texting dad. So, yeah, we're staying in touch.
Well, very good. We hope you have a great senior year at
Thank you.
UAB, and we'll be looking forward to watching you pitch.
Thanks a bunch.
That
Go
is-
Blazers.
Yep, that's Chase Ingram. Pitcher, stopper, whatever he wants you to be. Casey Dunn will talk about all of that as well. So we'll take a break, come back with more on the Inferno Pod. Stay with us.
Oh yeah, oh no.
The if in life, it's a world of possibilities. If you go for a night out with friends, if you can keep an eye on your money along the way, if you know you have overdraft protection with no fee transfers from savings, when you get a low balance alert, it's easier to say yes to fun. If that sounds good, try Regions Life Banking.
Stay ready for the if in life. Regions Bank, embrace the if in life.
Welcome back to the Inferno Podcast. Scott Griffin here. This Week in Blazer Nation brought to you by Children's of Alabama. Before we look at the events coming up this week, let's take a little sneak peek back to last week. And one of them, a major thing, because the men's basketball team finally got a win at home. They beat Rice 71-65. They did it without Kyron Lindsey Martin, one of their three-headed frontline players. They still got 26 rebounds from Chapman and Rivera. They end up winning there. So now, finally, a win at home in conference play. They're now 6-5 on the year. Again, Andy Kennedy wanting to be, and you've heard him on the podcast talk about it, that top four with the conference tournament being in Birmingham, very key because you get the double bye there. So they are trending in the right way there. Also, track and field, tons of personal bests, 8 in all. You had a couple of people get 600-meter personal best, pole vault, indoor 200-meter. A lot of people getting their personal best. So track and field still wrapping up the indoor season. The outdoor season will start in just a few weeks or so. But they had a really strong beat last week. And then softball started before baseball, which will start this week. Softball went out and got wins over Southern Missouri, 10-2, and then over Lipscomb, of course, in Nashville at 9-3. They finished 2-3 in their opening tournament of the year. Now let's take a look at what's happening this week on the schedule. Women's basketball trying to get that double-figure win total. They'll take on Memphis this week. Men's tennis is at the AUM, but they'll play at the Hoover Met Tennis Center as they'll get underway with their season as well. Men's basketball is at Tulsa this week for a 7 o'clock tip on February 11th. The bowling team is going to be at Southern Queens for a 3-day tournament there. Softball back on the road, but not too far. They'll go to Jax State for an early 10 a.m. game there. Women's track at the Vanderbilt Music City Invite. Again, that's an indoor event. That's a 10 o'clock start as well. Softball, again, as they start ramping up and getting some innings in at South Alabama. That'll be 3 o'clock on February 13th. And baseball, of course, starts Thursday as well. They'll take on number 13 Florida at 5:30. We'll talk more about that as the season goes as well and how difficult the schedule is for the baseball team. Softball, again, as they stay at Jax State, and they'll play at 10 a.m. Again, women's tennis will be taking on Grand Canyon in Auburn on noon. That's on February 14th. A lot of activities, obviously, on that day. Softball against Wyoming in Mobile at a tournament, 12:30 there. And then baseball, again, taking on Florida at 4 o'clock as well. Then, of course, you get into the weekend and it starts wrapping up, but a lot of activities still the same. Men's tennis is at Alabama State for a match. Baseball still at Florida for a noon on that day. Softball at South Alabama again in that tournament at 12:30. And then men's basketball back home again where they got their first win again, as we talked about last week, taking on Tulane. A little different time. Normally it's 2 o'clock on Sunday, but it's 1 o'clock this weekend there. So make a note of that if you're coming to the game for men's basketball and Tulane. Tons of activities. Spring sports is starting to kick off, and the winter sports is still going on as well. So a lot to see with our Blazers this week. We appreciate you watching the Inferno Podcast. For all the people that make it possible, putting it together, we say thank you and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inferno Podcast. So long.